is data. And if we look at data from President Trump's first term, and there's a big study that just came out from a group of economists, mostly at MIT, that showed that a 20% tariff on China led to a 0.7% tax or price level increase over 4 years. I think that's pretty good. If we can take in 20% in tariffs and it's a 0.7% increase. And Kristen, the little publicized story this week, everyone wants to look at the stock market going down. You know what else went down? Oil prices went down almost 15% in 2 days, which impacts working Americans much more than the stock market does. Interest rates hit their low for the year, so I'm expecting the mortgage applications to pick up.
Well, just to be very clear, though, I mean, during President Trump's first terms, the cost to Americans was nearly $80 billion in new taxes due to his tariffs. The prices did go up on everything from washing machines to tires.
Well, no, but let's go back. The aggregate number was 0.7, so we can discern the individual things. Also, households saw real net wages go up. So if wages go up faster than prices, which is not what happened over the past 4 years, that's why the bottom 50% got eviscerated.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, what we have here is my actual promise of doing it, even though I was supposed to do it yesterday. I probably should just make a long stream about this, and I probably will later on to get a full context for everyone, but I'll do that at a later date. But what we have here is that this is kind of what's been going on here, right? We have the media pretty much complaining and whining about how the stock market is falling, how the stock market is going down in trillions, which obviously I'm talking about this after Trump paused the tariffs, it's like for China, etc. So we'll be going over that in the next video. But essentially, this is what they're complaining about. The problem is these people are they're supposedly for the stock market, right? They're supposed for free trade or what have you, but in reality, they're just mostly anti-American. They're mostly just do not want businesses coming into America because, well, they're stupid and they don't like America. Because essentially, they're making excuses on why businesses should be able to function and be ran in other countries, foreign countries, but if we want businesses here in our country, America, the U.S., that is a problem. And they're making excuses on this fact. And a lady here is going to tell exactly on why this is happening and bogus reasons on why these countries are saying we cannot sell your products, you cannot sell your products here or whatever for stupid legitimate reasons. Like this is the case here.
Just in point of fact, the reason that the European Union, even though they are our fourth biggest market for agricultural products, as you know, don't take as much American pork as you would like is because they have issues with hormones used in pork. I don't want to get into a whole debate over that, but it's not an issue about tariffs. But let me ask you about the computation of these tariffs, because conservative economists at the American Enterprise Institute...
But wait, hold on, Jake. No. No. This is really important. You can't just say that. So here's the bottom line. They are using fake science and unsubstantiated claims to not take our products. So it isn't just that they have high tariffs. Thank you for making this point for me, by the way. I meant to make it. It's not just the tariff numbers. It's the way they've treated our products. Oh, sorry, we can't take your beef since 2002 because you use a certain type of feed. That's just absolute bull. It is not correct and not appropriate. Our supplies, our farmers and ranchers, we produce the safest, the most secure, the best food in the world. And so to use that for the EU to say, oh my goodness, we can't do it because of this reason, it's absolutely wrong and it's not based on sound science.
Okay, well, you can take that up with the Europeans.
So yeah, there you have it. So you have it to where you have these people are very, very upset that they are that foreign countries are not being allowed to prevent our companies from going over there, et cetera, and what have you, right? So what we need what we need is point being is we need to have companies being made in America because that's kind of what happens. And what we have here is Margaret Brennan is very angry, upset even, I would say, that she is losing money because probably all of her money's in the stock markets, and she is terrified of this because she's just going to be out of the job, out of the money. And I'm going over the difference between the Wall Street and Main Street here because it's not as big of a deal as people make it out to be. At least not for us folk that have to have doing a working job or whatever, make money or what have you. It's not a big deal, but to these rich people it is. And she's very upset on why she's losing money and is panicking over the problem.
Expect this level of shock in the financial markets?
Well, you've got to realize this is a national security issue. I mean, we don't make medicine in this country anymore. We don't make ships. We don't have enough steel and aluminum to fight a battle, right? All our semiconductors are made overseas, so every button we press when we try to start our car or even use our microwave, these are all semiconductors. They're all made elsewhere. We've got to start to protect ourselves, and we've got to stop having all the countries of the world ripping us off. We have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, and the rest of the world has a surplus with us. They're earning our money. They're taking our money.
Right.
And Donald Trump has seen this, and he's going to stop it. So it is going to be a big change. Of course it's going to be a big change, but the rest of the world has been ripping us off for all these many years. Donald Trump has seen it. He's spoken about it.
I understand
and he's just
that.
not going to take it anymore, and that's his model.
And that was abundantly clear during the presidential campaign how much the president truly believes in tariffs and putting him at the center of his economic policy. But you saw absolute panic in the global markets. Did you expect that, or were you surprised?
No, I think the point is you need to reset the power of the United States of America and reset it against all our allies and our enemies alike. The idea that all the countries of the world can run trade surpluses with America and buy our things with us. Remember, $1.2 trillion. In 1980, we were a net investor, meaning we owned more of the rest of the world than they owned of us.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's a different market.
And now they own $18 trillion of us net. So that means the rest of the world, every year when we run a $1.2 trillion deficit, the rest of the world buys $1.2 trillion of America, and it goes up and up and up. And eventually we're not going to own America, and we are going to be owned by the rest of the world. Imagine if we had a war and we can't build a ship, we can't fly a plane, we can't build our own planes, we don't have our own semiconductors. This is what the president is here to fix for America. It's in his hands, and he wants to fix America. This is his chance to fix America, and we need him to fix it for our children and our grandchildren.
Okay, but for businesses to do what you're doing, because what I hear you laying out there is a plan to reindustrialize the United States and to bring companies back to America. For a CEO to choose to invest.
Well said.
But for a CEO to make those decisions, you know this, they need certainty. They need to know if it costs them more to stay overseas or if it costs them more to move here. So can you give them clarity so that they don't just cut jobs because they're dealing with the cost of these tariffs? Can you tell them how long they're staying in place?
This woman, I can't stand her. So let me break down this slightly. It's like the reasons why you cannot do this is because it would hurt negotiations, right? So if you're negotiating something and, you have a plan to do this, you don't really want to tell exactly on what your plan is because that hurts your negotiation power. So what she wants is to know when is it going to down or what have you, and it's just not going to work. Again, she's complaining about on how the stock market has lost trillions of dollars here, and I'm going to show you this briefly of what this is.
More than $6 trillion of wealth from the U.S. stock market in just 2 days.
Yeah, and that is the big problem here, right? And I think it goes to show on what is really happening here and the insanity of it all. And I think we'll also have to go with this as well, with the 10% tariffs, because this also has to be explained as well. And this will go back down to what I'm talking about with with Wall Street and Main Street here. So this is what we have. As soon as I find out where my mouse pad is here, we'll get it. Okay, there we go.
Tariff
is going to
permanent?
Protect them. Well, remember, this is a national security issue.
I got it.
And
Is the 10%
he needs to address
tariff
our budget
permanent?
deficit. That, the laws of America are the laws of America. He would like it to be that we need to protect the companies that invest here, and we are going to protect the companies that invest here. That is the policy of the United States of America. That's why trillions of dollars are coming here. The ripoff of the United States of America is over. All these companies are going to come and invest here. That's what they're doing. That's why they've committed trillions of dollars. They know this is the economy.
Mr. Secretary,
this is the place to go.
Mr. Secretary, the campaign's over. You won. So I'm asking what the plan is. So the Treasury Secretary said on another network, we're going to hold the course. It's not the kind of thing you can negotiate away in days or weeks. That makes it sound like the tariffs are staying in place at least for days or weeks. Is that correct, or is the president considering postponing implementation to negotiate?
There is no postponing. They are definitely going to stay in place.
Okay. So we're gonna skip to this because it's kind of where it's bigger, right? But let me explain exactly what we're doing here. Why she's freaking out. Because as you said here that there was $1 trillion lost in the stock market, right? It all went down because the businesses and companies are pretty much taking their money and holding it into places, going back into the U.S. Treasury or what have you, and that's where it's being held at. It's not gone, it's still there. Now, she is freaking out. Now, what we're going to talk about is the difference between Wall Street and Main Street here, because it's really not that big of a deal or a complicated thing. So the slang for Main Street is colloquially used in reference to the singular investors in the economy, the employed and the economy in general, okay? That is Main Street. Now, this is in contrast with the term Wall Street, which is used to reference the money markets, major commercial banks, brokerage firms, and other financial institutions, aka rich people. So that being said, she's worried because she's a rich person and she makes millions of dollars on how much at CNN or CBS, right? So she has stocks and other things in the Wall Street area because she is a rich person. The reason why these rich people are so worried about this is because the money is being drained from them currently. They're losing money because Wall Street is in trouble. Whereas Main Street, the people like you and I here are fine because we're the employee, we're the economy, we're all that stuff. It doesn't hurt us. It has no effect on us. It doesn't really affect us all that badly. So we're all good. But she's worried here because Wall Street in this instance here is not doing well. So again, we're going to be going over this. So now you guys understand that this is what's going to go here.
So when three of the president's other economic advisors who are on other networks today say that 50 different countries have been calling the White House to try to talk about the tariffs, what does that mean? Because that makes it sound like there is a negotiation, which is different from saying the tariffs are permanent.
Well, what it shows is that all these countries know that they've been ripping us off and the day has come for that to end. Now, the problem is it's not just tariffs. Like, I'll give you an example. Like Vietnam said they'd like to be 0-0. Remember, Vietnam sends us $120 billion worth of goods every year.
Yes,
and
cheap
we send
manufacturing.
them about $12 billion. Wait, we send them $12 billion. So it's not the tariffs. It has nothing to do with tariffs. If they went to 0-0, they would go to 200 billion with us. We need to stop the ripoff, and 0-0 is the way to
I know,
make
but we
a
don't
more
have
of a
0-0, sir.
ripoff.
We don't have 0-0, actually, because when we saw the president stand in the Rose Garden holding up that chart that you helped make, that wasn't actually tariffs. That was actually confusing to investors because it was some kind of other formula, and the countries themselves seemed kind of random. Like, why are the Heard and McDonald Islands, which don't export to the United States and are quite literally inhabited by penguins, why do they face a 10% tariffs? Did you use AI to generate this?
No. The idea is
why
that there
are they
no
on the
countries
list?
left off. Because the idea, what happens is, if you leave anything off the list, the countries that try to basically arbitrage America go through those countries to us. Any country, like we had tariffs, the president put tariffs on China, right, in 2018, and then what China started doing is they started going through other countries to America.
Right.
They just...
So I'm going to hold it here real quick. So let me talk about tariffs a tiny bit. So when we talk about tariffs, we're talking about things that are a net positive. So when she's talking about on how the companies or whatever that are coming into here or what have you, then it is simple to understand. So when you have tariffs and she's worried about companies not coming here or how much they're going to be paying, well, if you have tariffs, say for instance 25%, 50% of tariffs in this one country, then, well, it would be easier for companies to come to the U.S. because they wouldn't be paying as much tariffs here. That means they don't have to pay any tariffs at all if they put their businesses here and start functioning and mobilizing more people within our country. Whereas if they're in another country, they'll be less incentive to want to go over there because they'll have to pay 25, 50, 60, whatever percent tariffs for going over there. So businesses are going to be more incentivized to come and work and manufacture things here in the U.S., which incentivizes jobs and more people to go and boost the economy because you'll have hundreds of thousands of jobs being created here in the U.S. That's just kind of the way it is. So the tariffs are a net benefit. It is not actually a negative because the companies are just going to work here. They'll make money here. So she's worried about something that's insignificant, and she's more like really being pro of why are you going to want your companies to move to the U.S., but let's have the companies move to a foreign countries because it has one benefit to us at all. For what purpose does it have?
Built through other countries, through America. And so the president knows that. He's tired of it, and he's going to fix that. So basically, he said, look, I can't let any part of the world be a place where China or other countries can ship through them. So he ended those loopholes, these ridiculous loopholes. And now what he's trying to say is, I'm going to fix the trade deficit of the United States of America. It's a national security issue. We need to make medicine. We need to make semiconductors. Yes. We need to make ships. We need to have steel and aluminum. Come on. We need the greatness of America to actually be built in America. And he's tired of getting ripped off by the rest of the world.
Okay, but just to be clear, April 9th, the so-called retaliatory tariffs, the reciprocal tariffs, I should say, are those coming? Or are they open to negotiation?
The tariffs are coming. He announced it, and he wasn't kidding. The tariffs are coming. Of course they are.
Okay. Is the administration considering any kind of offset, any kind of subsidy? You mentioned the first administration, there was some bailout to farmers to help them deal with the pain from Chinese retaliation. Are you looking at that now?
Not that I have not participated in any meetings with respect to that. The country is focused on, you realize trillions of dollars of factories are going to be built in America. That's huge GDP. The factories being built in America are huge.
That takes
GDP.
years. And you've said that robots are going to fill those jobs. So those aren't union
it's really automated
jobs.
It's automated factories, but the key is who's going to build the factories, who's going to operate the factories, who's going to make them work. Great American workers.
You
we
said
are going
robots
to replace
on other
the
networks.
armies of.
Okay, she's saying there's robots, right? Let me put it a very perfectly explanation for people that are stupid. So you're saying robots. Yes, automation is coming, but what do you have to do? What people do you have to keep that manufacturing building working? How many people do you need to keep the robots working, right? These are all things understandable. You got to have people that are high-end workers, high top-tier people to come and do these jobs and keep this thing working. Yes, you may not have people working or possibly putting all this stuff together or putting things on the belt or whatever in that manufacturing area, but you're having other high-tier, high-level workers maintaining the building, building the building first off, which provides thousands of jobs, and then you also have the maintenance where those people have to maintain the robots that are there, and you got to have high-level people to maintain those robots and make sure it's going. And these are long-term jobs. That means that the companies are going to hire these people to maintain these robots to keep them working, and these workers will have multiple jobs because if you have multiple of these manufacturing companies needing workers to maintain this, you're going to have endless supply of jobs, which is going to boost the economy. This is what it is. So she's an idiot.
Millions of people. Well, Remember, the army of millions and millions of human beings screwing in little screws to make iPhones, that kind of thing is going to come to America. It's going to be automated, and great Americans, the trade craft of America, is going to fix them, is going to work on them. They're going to be mechanics. There's going to be HVAC specialists. There's going to be electricians. The trade craft of America, our high school educated Americans, the core to our workforce is going to have the greatest resurgence of jobs in the history of America to work on these high-tech factories, which are all coming to America. That's what's going to build our next generation of America.
Are you concerned in the time it will take for a company to move to America that it will benefit China in the immediate term, that other markets will look to other suppliers instead of dealing with the United States?
No, because again, when you are going to put a manufacturing company here, when the company says, "Oh, I'm going to build here," well, guess what? You end up having people that have to build the said place, which means they have to build there. So they're already getting jobs and things like that going. And then you need to have the people to build the robots and maintain the robots. So you're already getting thousands of jobs right out the gate when these people are coming here. So that doesn't really matter. Yes, it may take time to build the building, but in that time, you're all creating thousands of jobs for these people to build these said buildings, which boosts the economy because you have to pay these workers. And then on top of that, after the building is even done being complete, you have to have these people make and build the robots that are there, right? They have to build the robots. So, and then after the robots are being built, then all these people that are there, they have to maintain the robots to keep them from breaking down. So there is a negative here.
That is ridiculous. The problem is everyone in the world sells to us. Our economy is the consumer of the world. Yeah. We are the only one with a trade deficit. The rest of the world has a trade surplus. Why does Europe have a trade surplus? Is there something about Europe that's special? Seriously, are they a different world than we are? Why are they selling $200 billion a year,
Mr. Secretary,
more to us? It's because it's not fair. The rules are made not fair, and President Trump is going to fix them, and he's doing it for America, and he's doing it for your children and mine and our grandchildren. This is the moment that the United States of America takes hold of itself, and Donald Trump's been talking about this his whole life. This is Donald Trump's agenda, and we are all here to help him execute it.
And we will take him at...
Okay, so again, the point being here is that these trade things are a net benefit because of because of companies going to be moving here. And it doesn't matter because these people are all going to move to automation, and these companies will have to spend less money necessarily for having to automate all this stuff and make their more money here. That's obvious. And then, as I said before, these people will be hired to do all this stuff. This woman is terrified. She hates America. She does not like it. She does not like being here, obviously, because she is part of Wall Street, and Wall Street gives her money. Well, when she is not part of the rich class, when she is part of the rich class, she cares. But the people like you and I, we do not care. We don't care because we're not making money. When she said that high school people can go and apply for these jobs and make these things or whatever, that is amazing. That means people straight out of the gate, out of high school, can start working on these things and start making really good money, and it will boost the economy and make people be able to buy houses, etc. This woman's insane. She's a lunatic, and it just shows. So that is what I have on this whole situation here, on the tariffs, on what have you. I will be making more stuff on the actual China retaliation on the later video, and then I'll probably be streaming a full course of what's been going on here. So give that a take. It'll probably be next week, maybe. I have to gather all the information or what have you, but that will be coming. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.